Hello, hello, hello. Welcome yet again to another edition of the War Report, AEW Dynamite Reaction. As you can see, I am joined by a couple friends. I am JPJ. You are on Love Wrestling. As you can see across from me, I have my buddy Pluggo. Pluggo, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing well, brother. What's going on, man? Another good night. No technical difficulties to start the show. Let's go.
No, we're doing
Not
all
for
right.
you,
We're
for
doing
me,
all right.
maybe. I can't hear poor Joe.
Oh, no, he can't hear me.
Oh, no.
What is going on? Oh, no. Nothing out of me? Can't hear me at all?
Uh-oh.
I guess he can't.
Them MJF labors of love.
It's all right. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. We
Well,
want to say hi to our buddy Ed. Say hi to our buddy Ed in the chat. Thanks for hopping in, my friend. Anything, Cody?
I'm gonna hop out here because I can't hear Joe at all. I'm gonna hop out and come back and see if that fixes it.
I'm just bad luck.
He's pulling a Pluggo, baby.
I'm just bad luck.
That's what I do, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get him back.
This ain't Thursday
while we wait, I know, right? Huh? While we wait, what's going on, man?
Oh, just living the dream. Wrestling, that's what's good. Yeah. Every Wednesday, I leave. We'll get it out of the way real quick. Like, I leave Monday nights sometimes down. I mean, sometimes Raw's great, right? Tuesdays, even Tuesday nights lately have been a little bit of a down. But Wednesday nights, what they're doing just always leaves me in a good mood. Like, I could be having the worst day, and AEW Dynamite, for better or worse, leaves me like wanting more. And that's awesome.
Oh, we got him back. He is back. He can hear me. I think we are good to go. This is my first official stream with Cody because last week was his debut on here, but I wasn't feeling too hot, so you guys had to run the show for me.
Deal with Pluggo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you on your debut, Cody. I apologize for
that. No worries.
My notes are still sitting here.
I just hopped in on the Thursday to get into the Between Two Beards with you in the chat there to be a part of something.
Exactly, right? So how we doing, man? Cody, what's going on? How are we this evening?
Doing good. It was a good day, good show.
Absolutely.
Really looking forward to the next week of AEW programming.
Yeah, it looks like we got some good stuff coming up in store about from now probably through the Rampage next week, I would say so. Yeah. All right, let's dive right into this sucker. So the show starts with a vignette, a promo of sorts from MJF and Wardlow. MJF says Jericho's ego can't handle the fact that MJF has beaten him twice, and Jericho hasn't beaten MJF at all. He says if by the grace of the gods he does beat Wardlow later on this evening and gets the match with MJF, he's still going to find out that MJF is better than him, and he knows it. And then you hear Wardlow in the back. He goes, I'm most definitely going to beat him. And MJF kind of pauses, and he turns and he goes, oh, like you beat Cody in the cage? And he puts he's chewing an apple, and he puts the chewed apple in Wardlow's hand. He's like, just make sure you get the job done. Short, sweet. MJF is amazing. He can talk arguably he's one of the top promos, if not the top promo in wrestling already. Like, he's so good at it. I love the callback to Wardlow losing to Cody too in that big match. I like how MJF still remembers that. Like, he's still kind of bitter and pissed about it, even though that story was forever ago and Cody hasn't been involved with MJF in a while. I just love the callback there. Cody, what did you think of this first little segment previewing kind of the match later, which would be the main event between Wardlow and Chris Jericho?
It was a good little tease. Get everybody prepared for what was coming later in the night. I loved that MJF did most of it with apple in his mouth. And then JR called it out at the end, I think, or Shivani, one of them said something like, didn't he learn not to speak with his mouth full? But
yeah,
he did pretty well considering that he spoke the entire time with apple in his mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to say hi to Josh Robinson in the chat. Always good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well over there.
Much love to Josh, dude.
Much love to Josh. He is the best. Pluggo, what'd you think of it? Was I the only one that when he was chewing the apple, I wanted him to spit it in Wardlow's face and say, hey, You know what I'm
It's COVID,
you know what I'm doing.
COVID times. You can't be spitting in the face. I'm cool.
That is true.
You
But I
can't
mean,
do that. But yes,
he spits in the face of people who try to be cool and don't want to be cool, man.
it was a classic, good promo. It was MJF doing what he's best, and I love that he did that callback to the Cody match. I think that those are awesome. That pays me off for being a fan because we know Cody's, or Wardlow's dropped the ball before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it puts a little bit more edge on it for Wardlow. So it was well done. Well done. MJF, best promo in the business, right? One of the best.
I think he's up there.
Of the best.
Yeah.
It would be hard to get, past 4 or 5 and not have him in that conversation.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
So,
well, we have a question in the chat from our buddy Ed. He says, who's a better promo, MJF or Miz? I think, all right. Miz is a really good promo when Miz wants to be a really good promo. You know what I mean? Like, Miz has had promos where, like, he's like, wow, like, that guy is really good. Like, when he's gone off before, when he's in the ring and he's like, you guys have been, whatever, given all these opportunities. I've had to work for 12 damn years. And he, like, starts doing that stuff and the crowd can get behind him. I just think MJF does it so naturally.
But I also think the Miz wasn't the best promo when he started.
No, he put a lot of work to get to where he is. The Miz
has been doing this, for 10 plus years? MJF is 24.
24 years old.
You know what I mean? And like you said, it's just so natural for MJF that I think they're both good, right? But like you said, when the Miz is on, he's on. And he knocks it out of the park. But MJF consistently is always at that level.
Yeah, we want to say hi to our buddy Throwback hopping in, saying he's going to give us a listen before his long day tomorrow. Always good to see you, Throwback. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
My dude. I'm coming for that title, baby.
Oh, boy.
Just want to say, I think Miz, it's hard to make that comparison because Miz is handcuffed by the WWE style so often, and a lot of his best promos have been the stuff on, like, Talking Smack when he was able to go off without being handcuffed by the scripted.
100% I would agree. I there are great promos in WWE. Obviously, Adam Cole under the WWE umbrella is a great promo. There's plenty of them, but it is a little bit different when you're not given that freedom all the time. You know what I mean? So, but all right, guys, this opening match here. It was Kenny Omega and the Bucks. We had the Elite in a 6-man tag against Dante Martin and the Seidel brothers. This was a coming out party, I thought, for Dante Martin. They made him incredible. What a performance by that guy throughout this match. He was there were times in this match I was watching it where, like, I knew they weren't going to win. You obviously know the Elite's going to win. But I was like, yo, give this kid the win. I want this kid to get the win because the crowd was hot. The crowd was like, some of those 2 counts, close calls that he was getting later on in the match, that crowd was itching for him to pull off an upset. I thought this was a star-making performance for him during this match. Cody, I'm going to lead with you, and you can talk in depth a little bit more of what you thought about this opening match. But I thought, right off the shoot, I thought this was a coming-out party, I would say, again, for Dante Martin. He was the star of this match to me.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you there. This is my first experience with Dante Martin. I haven't seen him really, or at least that I've recognized in the past. So this really put him on my radar. 100%. The end of the match after all those V-triggers and him continually just reversing Kenny after the V-triggers into those roll-ups, into the pins. Unfortunately, it never quite got me that he was going to pin Kenny. I kind of wish there had been somewhere in there with the Bucks, because when the pins were falling on the Bucks, I was actually believing something could happen there. But when you're pinning Kenny, it's just so hard to pull that curtain back on that one. But even the Seidel brothers looked amazing to me in this match. The entire 6-man tag in itself was just so well done. Everybody had some big spots, but yeah, absolutely, Dante just to the moon.
Yeah, man, he did that sequence where he did the top rope springboard Hurricanrana to the outside on Omega, and then he hopped right back up and did the springboard moonsault to Matt Jackson for the close 2 call, and that crowd, that place was ready to become unglued if he would have won that. Like, that was just fantastic stuff. Pluggo. And there's a lot to talk about that happened after this. I felt like this thing lasted like the match and then everything that happened after the match, after the break. This was like 3.5 pages of my notes were like, oh my God, there's so much going on here. I need to make sure what's going but Pluggo, take it away.
That's why you're the best host the War Report ever have, because this match was the ideal. Like, we know what's going to happen, but just because we know what's going to happen doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, right? Like, you see the Seidel brothers and Dante Martin, and you go, they're taking the L.
Oh, yeah.
But Dante Martin showed out, stole the show. They made it a point to show him off.
Oh, yeah.
He defies gravity. Like, he makes it look effortless. I don't have a lot of reference in front of me, but he has to have probably the highest drop kick I've ever seen. The dude gets so much air on everything he does. It's like he's a cheat code.
Yeah,
and
he's also 20 years old.
Yeah, and they put him in this, and this is what AEW does. They get you hyped up with one of these 20-minute bangers right out the gate. They put Dante Martin in a prime spot to look like $1 million. As I said last week and the week before, AEW is doing a wonderful job of highlighting their young talent while still giving us the Bucks and Omega, which is what we're paying the ticket for. But then we're like, oh shit, who's this kid? Awesome. Let me see more. I mean, obviously we watch it enough, but if you're just tuning in, you're going, I want to see more.
Yeah, you want to see that guy as soon as you get again. You're like, I want to see this kid go again. Like, because that was, man almighty. I was losing it as much as the crowd was. I was like, man, this
and
kid
they were
going off right now.
The crowd was hot. They were into it. And it's, to the point I talked about what Cody was getting, set up there. Like, the crowd gets into it. Wednesday nights just has this vibe about it. The crowd's not trying to take over the show. The crowd's into everything. They're playing an extra part. They're almost like the third or fourth, third person in the match type deal. Man, what a way to start Dynamite tonight. Banger.
Well, and then making him look solid too. Like, how many V-triggers, and then having to go down to the elite V-trigger. Like, they just it took so much to put him down that they sold the hell out of him.
Yeah, it took the 3 top champions in the company. It took the tag champs and the world champion, all 3 of them, to finally, like you said, Cody, put him down and end that match. I think
that can be dangerous though, because if he takes an L on Dark next week,
that is true. That is true. Like, if you're gonna put him in this, if you're gonna make him look the way that he looked tonight, you got to follow that up with the proper way. Oh, I wouldn't. I think that would be a fun match for Miro.
I was literally just thinking the exact same thing. That I would love to see him go there.
That's a great match with
Didn't
Miro.
They already do that?
Did they already do that with him early on?
Yeah, I thought Dante Martin already had a TNT title.
I don't know. Maybe you might be right, but whatever. Do it again. Tonight was a rebirth of Dante Martin. Do it again. Okay. I don't care.
Fair enough.
Build it up. Get back to the redemption story.
I'm pretty sure we already saw it, but I'm down to see it. I mean, like I said, the guy defies gravity. Like, he looks like he just pauses in the air and then finishes his move. And gosh, good for him.
I think one of my favorite parts of this match outside of the in-ring action, though, was JR asking Don Callis why he keeps yelling.
The rapport whenever Callis is there, just the disdain that JR and Shivani have for him is just wonderful. Like, everything Callis says, they're like, oh yeah, you piece of shit. Like, they're basically just like, yeah, why are you here? What are you doing this for?
Why are you yelling? We can hear you.
It's so funny. It's so good. All right, so now we got to dive into all the stuff that happened after the match, which was a lot of stuff. So Don Callis gets in the ring. They're celebrating. He kind of gives some rags to Pittsburgh, ragging on him, which I am all for. Rag on Pittsburgh as much as you want. So no offense to anybody in Pittsburgh. I honestly don't care if I offend you, but yeah. So,
the views expressed here are those of
I'm sorry. I'm a New England Patriot. Yeah, I'm a New England guy. So Pittsburgh. There you go.
I mean, I'm a Browns fan, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so you feel this. What? You have the same. Yeah. Well, you're judging me for.
We can all be on board here because I'm an Eagles fan. So.
Well, there you go. So I don't want no judgment in this room right now. There's no judgment.
Anti-Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So he gets interrupted by Christian Cage. And then when we come back from break, everyone's in the ring. First of all, Christian Cage is there, and Callis goes, I know, he calls him the Stamford Stooge. That was a good little name there. And he goes, I know you're not the smartest guy in the room here, but you got to be smart enough to know there's like 10 of us and 1 of you. So I would play it safe. Like, who you going to have to back you up? And then we see Jurassic Express comes out, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. They all get in the ring. They announced that at All Out to the crowd. They had announced it on commentary throughout the match, but to the crowd, they announced that at All Out, the number one contender, who now is Christian Cage, will be fighting Omega for the title. Did not get a great response. You could tell the crowd was like, we like Christian, but that's not what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. Big CM Punk chant happens after that. But Christian wins him back. He calls Callis a carny piece of shit, and that was pretty good. And then he goes, "Oh, well, since I'm in Pittsburgh, what I should have called you was a carny jackoff." Even better, even bigger pop. Fantastic. And then we have Christian basically saying, "Oh God, hold on." Yeah, Christian calls him all that, and he says that he was talking to Tony and Scott D'Amore from Impact in the back, and he had some news. And on Friday, for Rampage on the debut, the first ever match, Kenny Omega is going to be defending the Impact World Championship against Christian Cage. Pluggo, I'll let you lead here. What do you think about, first of all, how do you feel about Christian Cage fighting Omega for a title 3 weeks before he's fighting Omega for a title first? And then second of all, how do you feel about the Impact Championship being defended as on the first match in Rampage history with Omega and Christian?
I mean, Kenny's got 4 titles, right? So he might as well start defending some of them.
Is he going to defend them all to Christian, though? Is that going to be the thing? Is that what we're doing?
I guess, right? So they announced this all-out match. I didn't even know it was announced. I just saw some rumors that it was going to happen, and then they made the announcement tonight. So maybe there's some kind of swerve next week when Christian Cage goes for the Impact title, and I don't know, because like it's not what we want. No disrespect to Christian Cage, but that's not why we're here, right?
Yeah.
We want Hangman and Omega. We want that to just come to blows, and it just, like you said, the crowd wasn't into it. I'll be interested to see what they do, but I think Christian Cage, like I've always said, I think Omega needs to start dropping these belts one by one until he's just desperately clinging on to the AEW title. It's all he's got left. So I just don't know how they've got me intrigued. I don't even, I'm watching it going, what happened to Hangman? We didn't see Hangman tonight. What's going on there? I want more of this. But
it's true.
They went the opposite direction and gave us more Christian Cage, theoretically.
Yeah, and then they also announced Jungle Boy grabs the mic and goes, "Oh, I also have some news too. Next week on Dynamite, it's going to be us, the Jurassic Express, challenging the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team titles. So that should be a hell of a match next week too." Cody, what did you think of all the post-match stuff that went on here between these two group here?
It definitely left a lot more questions than it answered. That the Impact title, I kind of saw where Christian was going with that when he started talking about all the belts and whatnot. Really, really curious to see where that goes. I'm on the fence on whether or not I think that we could potentially see the Impact title changing hands on a Rampage.
Yeah. Well, Christian and Impact Wrestling have obviously a long history as well, so it makes sense that he's going for that title because of the history of it, right? So
does he just start collecting belts? Is he Christian belt collector Cage?
Maybe.
I don't think that would work as well.
I think he's gonna get.
No offense to Christian, I think
he's gonna get his ass kicked next week. He may win. Maybe he wins the Impact title and they beat him down and then say, "Hey, he's not able to compete at all out." It's convoluted.
There's 2 ways I could see this going. Is you put the Impact belt on Christian, and then you have something happen either before or at All Out that he ends up losing to Kenny, that you still get the Omega Page match, or he loses this Impact match on Friday, and since it's on AEW programming, that goes as a loss on his record, that then you say, well, I've beaten you once, I don't need to defend the other title against you. You couldn't even win this lesser title from me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how they do it, right? Because if he loses to Omega in 2 days, granted it's for it's a different company's title they're fighting for, then why would I care about the match, You know what I mean? I don't know. Like if Omega, you know what I'm saying? If Omega beats him on Friday, yeah, it's just bizarre. Again, I'm not against it. I think it's very cool that it's for the Impact title. It makes sense with Christian. Like I'm for it. I'm looking forward to the match. But if I'm looking forward to the match in 2 days, and Omega, I'm assuming he'll win cheaply with the Young Bucks' help or something, you know. But it's kind of weird that they're having a match with these two guys 3 weeks before the match with these two guys that they just announced.
I mean, if anything, we can trust that AEW
yes, we can.
We'll figure it out because they've given us and shown us a track record of they do these things and it somehow, some way works out. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm with this, I'm just going to wait and see and kind of watch how it unfolds. Because like I said, I'm trying to figure it out in my head, and I'm like, I don't know where they're going with this, but we'll find out. Because, like I said, it was an odd choice to have no Hangman Page on tonight.
Yeah, it was. I only just caught myself up on the most recent Impact over the beginning of this week here. I'm pretty sure Dreamer just announced a new competitor for Omega at the next pay-per-view, though. That I don't know how you take the belt off Omega now when you've just announced the match for Omega's next title defense.
Well, Christian Cage just slides, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the way to do it. If it does happen, I guess
he's like, what?
Yeah. He's like, remember me, guys? Remember me?
I can't see. Sorry, what?
Yeah. All right. We then get a vignette from one Malachi Black. He asks if he's really the bad guy in this story. Says he made good on everything he said. It was going to be quick. It was going to be violent. And he says that Cody and him are both lonely people. Cody is lonely because he surrounds himself with empty people, but Aleister Black is lonely because he chooses to be. He says Cody has one foot in the grave as he holds up the boot that he took from Cody last week. And he says, when you want me to put the next one in there, just let me know. And then he kind of calls out the rest of the roster and says, whoever he chooses to be next in his line of, fire, they're going to really feel like what it's like to be alone and only really listen to the shadows. And the line that he used was, he said, yes, he goes, they'll feel so alone, they'll only hear shadows, and they'll truly understand that the volume of their voice is so low that now they realize they've been arguing with God. I was like, all right, rock and roll. Got dark there real quick. Pluggo, what'd you think of this vignette from Mr. Malachi Black?
It's awesome. Right?
Yeah.
Because
pretty simple, right?
Pretty simple. It's awesome. He's playing into what we're all talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Cody's doing heel shit. Cody's the heel in this. Cody's making it about Cody. And so he's playing into that narrative and saying, all right, are you guys calling me the bad guy for taking a crutch to the guy last week? Like, you all wanted it. I don't think, you know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, like, I'm interested to see what's after Cody. Because I think they may run it back with some kind of stipulation or something where maybe Cody takes time off. I don't know if you go loser leaves AEW, but some effect where you get Cody off TV for a little bit, because I know he's got some stuff coming up as they, had a video package for his new show and stuff. So, like I said, I'm excited to see where he goes next and who he decides to stand next to. I mean, he's basically saying, look, don't come knock on my door. I'm knocking on yours.
Yeah. It's kind of like the opposite from what we're so used to seeing him.
He's doing the all one that's going to be that we talked about him. We wanted him to do in the WWE. We 100%. Wanted him to go fight somebody. Why are you waiting for them to come to you? Now he's taking the fights to whoever he wants, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. Cody, what'd you think of this vignette from Malachi Black?
The way it was kind of framed and the talk about Cody afterwards too gave me that sense that they're already trying to say that Cody's injured and he's taking some time. They pitched the reality show. So I'm thinking we see Malachi now come out and he picks whoever he picks next. And we get a little bit of a feud there, maybe a couple feuds while Cody's taking his time or whatnot, and then come back, revisit this down the line when Cody's ready to go, once Malachi has established himself a bit more and have a little bit more of a firm, solid feud between them.
Yep.
But yeah, like he said, I really enjoyed the actual vignette itself. And the entire promo and the way he's framing himself as the good guy here. It all made sense. It was what we talked about on last week's War Report, that, you know, Cody came out and even after getting his ass kicked, still tried to stand up and put the spotlight back on him. And Malachi had to come back out and put him back down again. So
100%.
As long as Cody takes more than a couple weeks off this time, you know, like he did that. He was off for a few weeks and returned.
Yeah.
Like after getting squashed by Brody Lee, like and it's okay because that's how deep Dynamite is right now. That's how deep the roster is, that Cody doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And they're fine. So, you know, take the winter off, come back, you know what I'm saying, around Revolution or something, and it'll be huge. It'll be like, oh shit, let's do this. And by that point, Malachi Black is theoretically ran through, you know, the roster, and it's time to meet your maker, so to speak. So
we've seen it a couple different times now that the fans that are watching really have an appreciation for that long-term storytelling. With the Juventud Jericho match last week and MJF pulling a comment from however long ago that was. And now you got tonight the callback to Wardlow losing to Cody. Like, people remember, people enjoy and appreciate that the show actually acknowledges that you've been watching long enough to recognize these callbacks.
100%.
And so take the time for Cody to go off, and when he comes back, people aren't going to forget that it happened. People are going to be like, okay, here we go. Now I'm ready for this.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm 100% on board with both what you guys are saying. There's nothing wrong with a slow burn. There's nothing wrong with a slow burn. And we've seen a slow burn with the Hangman story up until now, where it's kind of got thrown to the side for a bit. But that slow burn leading up to that Hangman, that's why that crowd was so ready when they first came face to face and the Dark Order started mentioning Hangman to Omega, because the crowd was like, yeah, this is the match we've wanted for like a year. Like, this is what we've wanted. Like, yes. Before we continue on, I had this comment up for a bit, but our buddy Joe says, who debuts it All Out, Punk or Daniel, or both? What do you guys think? I think neither. I mean, from the reports that we're hearing, it's going to be neither, because you would think CM Punk's debuting on. If CM Punk doesn't debut on Rampage next week in Chicago,
I'll cry myself to sleep.
Well, yeah, and the fans that are in that attendance might burn that building down. I think they might literally burn that building down.
The only way I can see that going is if they have an announcement at that show at Rampage in Chicago that he's going to be at All Out in Chicago.
Yeah.
You have to at least acknowledge it and make something official. Either he shows up on the screen, he shows up in the building, or you just have a graphic come up that at All Out, he's going to be here.
Yeah. I mean, I think CM Punk might have his first AEW like debut match at All Out. I would go that far to say that, but I think you got it. Like even at the very least, like Cody just said, you have to have at least the AEW. You have to have at least AEW acknowledge that CM Punk is going to be there. And like Joe kind of goes on, he says, isn't All Out in Chicago? It is. However, you will get a lot more people buying that pay-per-view if you announce CM Punk is going to be there than him just showing up. I'm sorry. And like, it's one of those things where that's a 1-hour show next Friday, and they sold out an 18,000 seat arena for a 1-hour show. And they sold that out specifically because everyone thinks CM Punk is showing up. So if CM Punk doesn't show up, I don't think it might not go well. And it's one of those things where I understand. And like, I know earlier this week on Joe's show, Turnbuckle Talk, they talked about surprises as opposed to announcements. And Joe is a surprise guy. He does prefer surprises. And I love surprises too, but you're leaving a ton of money off the table. If you don't promote, if you have CM Punk at All Out and you don't promote that CM Punk is at All Out, you're losing a lot of money.
It's hard to do the surprise thing in this day and age because of all the dirt sheets and all the reports.
Yeah, social media has definitely changed.
It's definitely changed it. Like when if you want to do a surprise and Ethan Page is the surprise entrance in the brass ring thing, that's cool.
Yeah.
I just think a guy of a CM Punk type caliber, because it's going to be so hard to tight lid that thing. And I think the general interest is there, and I'm putting my fandom aside. I don't, like I said, you know me. I'll watch him paint houses. I don't care.
Yeah.
But you got to have something big at this United Center show. You've got to have he's got to just walk out at the end of a show and then walk back. He doesn't have to speak. Yeah. His face shows up on TV. It's also, you got, TNT is giving them an hour. It's a dead spot. Friday nights at 10 is not a great spot. So how do we bump that number and show that this is a powerful force to maybe eventually move off the Friday 10 o'clock slot and get to a better slot? Because that's ultimately the goal, right? Is to have primetime TV with lots of viewers. And how do you get viewers? Do you announce that CM Punk probably is going to show up? I mean, Tony Khan pretty much said that's why people are going to be there. Yeah. And he said that today at Busted Right. He basically, without saying it, said somebody's going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, man, without saying it is as tongue if
they don't do it,
it's
like,
just one of those things. Yeah, I'm telling you, they'll burn the building down. They'll burn the building down.
Now
they will.
Here's a pitch for you guys. What about a swerve that we get Debray at that Rampage show instead of Punk?
Okay, I think the crowd would be perfectly okay with that.
I will not be.
But I look at yeah, and I want to touch on Joe's topic because yes, that Mox debut and that pop, CM Punk's getting that pop whether he's announced or not. That's how I feel about that. Even if he's announced, those people at All Out, they haven't seen CM Punk for 7 years.
I think that's a different.
So he's getting that pop no matter what.
There's different levels. Like Mox and Punk's in terms of like just general overall like interest is on two different levels. Like Mox isn't near, like if Mox retired tomorrow, are you chanting Moxley for the next 8 years?
Yeah. And that's not a knock at Moxley. He's one of the best in the world right now, but it's a different stratosphere.
I love John Moxley. I think he's fantastic. But Punk, whatever, love him or hate him, that man has figured out a way to stay absolutely over without wrestling a match in 7 years. And I just think that you have to, if you've got that in-house, promote that, get those ticket sales. That's what you're paying him for. If he shows up at All Out and everybody just is like, I wasn't going to buy the pay-per-view, you're not going to buy it that second. But if you know, like I said, if you know he's coming over or coming to All Out, you're going to buy it ahead of time. Be like, yep, I'm watching. I want to see what he does. Mm-hmm. I know he's going to be there. He's locked in. That's an easy $50. And that helps pay for what I have to imagine is a 8-figure contract. That's good. I have to imagine, because John Moxley makes $6 million from AEW.
Yeah.
I don't know what it took to get Punk, but it has to be double that. Easy.
Oh, man. It has to be. It's
either way, if you want a surprise entrance, I just want him to be there. But I just feel like we're talking apples and oranges. With Mox's debut was perfect. But I just think with CM Punk, it's one of those, like John Cena, you're going to promote that John Cena is going to be at SummerSlam. Yeah. You don't just have him show up. The Money in the Bank thing, he showed up, didn't say anything, bought you a ticket to the next night because you're like, I want to know why he showed up. Yeah. That's what you got to do with Punk. Show up at Rampage, don't say a word. I'm tuning in Wednesday night. I'm tuning in next Friday.
It will be the highest rated Dynamite show in the history of the company, and they've routinely been over 1 million for the last month or a little over that. If Punk shows up next Friday, the following Dynamite will be by far
and then that's
the highest rated.
That's your lead to All Out, and you're just printing money at that point.
100%.
You've got so much time to fill, though. You're looking from the 20th until the 5th. You've got over 2 full weeks to fill of programming there between his debut and All Out, that you're looking at least 4 extra shows in there. That are you just going to not have him talk and you're going to try and sell those tickets to All Out, or are you going to spend those 4 shows with him like through video feeds and recorded promos trying to sell?
He doesn't.
It's why I think that just announcing that he's going to be at All Out, having your CM Punk is All Elite,
Yeah.
Putting that graphic up and that he will make his debut at All Out in Chicago. You put that up on the 20th in Chicago. That's enough to appease your fans that he's coming, get everybody in Chicago to sell out that building and increase your pay-per-view buys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that works. And that whole night,
have
that
you
crowd
ever
is
been
going
to
be
the United Center? That traffic is a pain. If I'm sitting through that traffic and I'm buying
and he doesn't show up,
$9
I'm losing it. I'm losing
$9 bottle of water. I'm in the nosebleeds because I can't afford good seats.
No, you can come on.
And CM Punk doesn't show up. I'm gonna be mad.
Someone's gonna answer some questions for me.
We'll give you a Punk announcement, and we'll give you a D-Bry debut. There you go.
I mean, that'd be okay. I
think you don't debut them both. I don't think that's an option. I think that would just be like a hat on it, just overkill. Why not get Punk in there or D. Bryan, whichever one you want to debut first, and then debut another one at another time, a little bit, not super far down the road. You don't want to lose the heat you got and the momentum. But definitely, I think that would be like All Out. Yeah, Punk, then Bryan, then. I mean, that would just be insanity, right? And like, how do you sustain that insanity? I think that'd be overkill. I might have a heart attack.
Well, yeah. I mean, what they're saying or what they've been saying is that they expect Punk next week or All Out, right? And then that big show in New York City at the Arthur Ashe Stadium at the end of September, which I think is like 3 weeks after All Out, or 2.5 weeks after All Out. They're thinking that's where we might see Mr. D. Bryan Danielson, whatever he'll be called. So I think that's a good little stretch there.
Joe's comment there, though, about you don't get the bigger pop if he.
I think in this case it's different, though. I think CM Punk is like maybe the one guy where it doesn't matter. If I'm a fan, I am a fan. Duh. We're talking about it. I'm a fan, right? We do this because we're fans. If they announce it 2 weeks ahead of time or not, if I have a ticket to All Out and I find out CM Punk is going to be at All Out, I'm losing my mind regardless if I know or not. You know what I mean? Like, the surprise is nice. Like, oh God, yeah, he's here. Like, yes, I get that, but I think the pop in this case with CM Punk, I don't think it's going to be dramatically lower or not as big because they might announce
when they announced that he was put in talks to sign,
everyone lost their mind.
Well, right there, and everybody's saying it's like 80% done or 90% done. I mean, he's coming, so it doesn't matter when he comes or how he comes. You're still gonna pop.
Oh, 100%.
We knew Mox signed, didn't we? I mean, rumors were that he signed. We didn't know when he was showing up. And when he showed up,
and that was a great surprise, and it was a big pop. But I think, to your point, Pluggo, I think it's a kind of a different level there.
Yeah, I just think stratosphere.
I don't disagree with Joe. I prefer surprises. I think surprises are good. I just think in this specific case with this guy who, love him or hate him, he's one of a kind, CM Punk. He is a one of a kind guy in the wrestling history and wrestling world. I think it doesn't matter either way. I think that pop is going to be that pop because it's what a lot of our wrestling fans have been waiting 7 years to see this guy come back.
It's Punk in Chicago. It's happening regardless.
Again, in Chicago too. It's like that. He's a hero.
You heard that Punk chant in Pittsburgh trying to drown out Christian and Jurassic Express today. Like, he had to fight through that CM Punk chant, and you actually saw I think it was Jungle Boy in the background trying to giving that weird kind of questioning look back there. That even in Pittsburgh getting that reaction, you're getting a blow up in Chicago regardless of when he comes, if it's announced, if it's not announced. As soon as his music hits and he walks out, that building is erupting.
Oh yeah, I agree. All right, we got some more Dynamite to talk about. I could talk about CM Punk all day.
Technically, special report.
I know, right? Jeez. All right, so we then have Miro, another guy, knocking it out of the park right now. Knocking it out of the park. He says that he's a humble man, he serves a vengeful God, and he likes to please his wife over and over and over. Good for him.
Don't we all?
Good for him. Don't we? I know.
Don't we all? Hi, honey.
Happy wife, happy life, guys. Happy wife, happy life. He puts the rest of the locker room on notice. He says that they're scared. He says there's guys walking around back there saying they would die to be in AEW. and he holds up the title. He goes, well, here's your opportunity. He goes, here's your opportunity, because if you get in the ring with me, that's exactly what might happen. He then says that on Friday on Rampage, it'll be Fuego del Sol challenging him for the TNT Championship. And not only will Del Sol win the title, obviously, if he beats Miro, but he'll also win a contract for AEW because he's technically not under contract, apparently.
He's still going to be unemployed then.
Yeah, I would. Yes, yeah. I don't think it's going to take a long. I don't think it's going to take a long time for that to remain the same.
Fuego's my dude, but
he took a hell of a black mass a couple weeks
ago.
The
only way he's winning that contract is if Miro decides to go crazy and get DQ'd.
I said last week that I felt bad when Fuego got his ass handed to him by Andrade, and now he's got to go against Miro. Like, what's worse than feeling bad?
Yeah. Hey, you earned that contract, kid. Go. There you go. Let's figure it out. So
it feels like Fuego is liked by like half the EVPs, and the other half are like, nah, listen, we're going to keep putting you in these spots, but you're going to have to go through Miro to get paid. Like,
and he's like, really? And they're like, yeah, it'll last 15
seconds. And last week, Andrade is going to kick your ass and make you shine your shoes. Like, look, man, you want to get this contract or not?
Well, I think you said it last week, Pluggo.
Look what Randy Cutler's doing. He's getting paid.
He's bordering on that Heath Slater, I've got kids angle right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, pay attention of the rest of this week, though. He got kids. We might, Pluggo and I might be doing a little something special with that Brock Lesnar.
That word slam with
you never know.
Yeah, good for Del Sol. He is a good worker. I like it. I really do. And I think he's ultimately going to get the coveted All Elite box. He's been doing a lot of stuff for them, and he is well liked. I'm just being funny. I just think it's hilarious. They're like, you want it? Come hang out.
Beat me. All you got to do is beat this guy here. Oh, really?
Buzzsaw
really?
That is Miro.
Thanks for that opportunity.
You think Miro's going to be thinking about pleasuring his wife while he's kicking the crap out of Fuego?
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Over and over and over again.
Apparently. I usually try to think about the task at hand before I go take care of business, but it's what it is. It is what it is.
All right. We then go to Daniel Garcia versus Darby Allin. This is a good one. Garcia was accompanied by 2.0. Good for them. Good for Everrise. Good for 2.0. Good for them. And Darby Allin was obviously with Sting. I thought this was another good match. I don't know much about Garcia. These last couple of weeks are really the first time I've seen him. But I like what I see so far. I know, you and I, Pluggo, and a frequent guest of ours, Warren Hayes, on Between Two Beards, he's a big fan of Garcia. He has openly gushed about Garcia numerous times on his show. So I trust Warren's opinion.
He is really good.
Yeah, but these are the first couple times I've seen him, and I have been impressed. I thought tonight was really good. I thought he, mat-based. He was kind of throwing him around a little bit in transitions and submissions that looked really good. And Darby Allin is as over as anybody in that company. Still continues to be. Cody, I'll bring it down to you. What did you think about this match with Darby Allin and Garcia? And then what did you think of all the stuff happening afterwards, which will lead to a tag match next week, which we'll talk about a little bit later, involving one Sting?
I thought it was an excellent match. I hadn't heard that it was coming on the show in advance. I don't know if I missed that last week or somewhere along the way. I thought seemed like they were building a little bit more to the Garcia Allin match. So it was a pleasant surprise to see it tonight. Really enjoyed what both guys did in that ring. I enjoyed everything that I've seen from Darby since I started watching consistently. And Garcia, like you said, over the last 2 weeks has looked really good in the tag and now in the singles match and stuff. So really, really enjoyed that. I think now that it's done though, I don't want them to fall into that hole that WWE likes to do with dragging it out any further. It's happened. It's done. Let them both go their own directions. Allen's been teasing that best in the world comment a couple different times now. So we'll see if that comes about.
They're starting to fill out the All Out card, and Darby Allin still does not have an opponent yet. Yeah. So,
CM Punk.
After the match, though, the one thing that kind of stood out to me is that 2.0, the show, Everrise, Parker and Lee, whatever we want to refer to them as, still seem like they're kind of stuck in that enhancement role that they kind of got single-handedly beat down by Sting, and then Allen just kind of showed up while they're there and helped out.
Yeah. And then, but we do hear though, and I've said it before, but like for those guys they were just starting to get some traction in NXT, right? They were having the weekly vignettes that were entertaining and they were on the show, and then they get let go. And in a very short time, they're going to be in a tag match next week on Dynamite with arguably, like I said, one of the more over guys in the company, and Sting. Like that has to be such a mark out, like cool thing for them. Like, man, we lost our jobs a month ago and we're fighting Sting next week. Like, we're fighting Sting.
There was that pre-match vignette too. I think it was Lee was the one that made the comment in that pre-match taped segment there, where he was talking about, Sting, if you're out there, know that we're going to keep you in check or whatever. And he just, the way he kind of said it, and the way he looked like he was almost just fanboying over the idea that he was talking to Sting.
Out Sting. Like, I'm calling out Sting right now on national television. I cannot believe it.
I'm happy for those guys at the end of the day. They seem like they just enjoy what they're doing in general.
100%. So. And it will be a tornado tag match too, which I love me a tornado tag match. It's not used enough. It is not used enough as a
What are you talking about? It's used every week at 8.
Well, yeah. Well, it depends on the ref. It depends on the ref. Joe to say, that's a good idea. Have Darby do an open challenge at All Out, and you could have Punk come out and answer it. I'd be okay with that. Okay with that 100%.
Yeah, Darby is bulletproof.
I agree.
For those that don't know Danny Garcia, I'll just touch on this. I think Cody and you guys talked about the match perfectly. He's wrestled, like they said on commentary, 6 times this week. He had a absolute banger at the IWTV 100. It was a 60-minute match against Wheeler Yuta.
I heard about that.
I watched a match with him and Graham Bell at the Scenic City tournament. But the dude is just
putting the work in.
He's putting the work in, but he is so smooth with
and that's what I've noticed.
And he looks
super smooth in there. He looks like he belongs.
Yeah, like I have a feeling like they're gonna sign him.
I would hope.
They
put him on their main show against last week. He was in a 6-man tag against Eddie Kingston, John Moxley, and Darby Allin.
And he's in there with
Darby Allin one-on-one tonight. He's fighting. You're putting him in there with top quality. Like, you're not going to do that for a guy you're just going to let walk out the door and not offer a contract to, in my opinion.
And it's the perfect spot for a guy like Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta, because they can still go and do some independent stuff and stay true to that. And the things that we heard this week from Meltzer about what the WWE doesn't want to sign, well, Daniel Garcia is amazing in-ring work is not what they're looking for. So I think he's going to find a home sooner than my boy Fuego del Sol. And I got no insider information. If I was just a betting man, I say you lock up those two and start building that too.
Yep.
Get it 100%. Done.
All right. We then have a interview with Death Triangle. Pac is back, and so we see Rey Fenix is asking Pac if he's seen all the things that Andrade's been doing when he hasn't been there, and he says they need to do something. Penta then says he wants to face Andrade first, and then Pac says, hey, don't worry about Andrade. I'll handle Andrade. What you guys need to worry about is getting back on track and focusing on the AEW Tag Team Championships. Pac then addresses Andrade in the camera, and he says he doesn't know why Andrade is obsessed with Death Triangle, but it's going to stop now. And anytime that he wants a go, he's not hard to find. I thought this was short and sweet. We'll, in a little bit, we'll talk about Andrade's answer to Mr. Pac. But I thought this was, got the point across. It showed that Phoenix, and for a split second, though, when Pac addressed Andrade and he kind of took like a little bit of a step forward in the camera, I was like, oh, are they going to turn on? I was like, are they going to attack him? Because I think eventually they do. I hope they don't, because I really like Death Triangle a lot. But I think there's a story to tell with them leaving and joining Andrade and kind of forming that group there too. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good. It was nothing crazy. It was short and sweet, but I thought it was good. It kind of set the point. It's good to see Pac back. Either of you two have anything to add about this vignette with the Death Triangle?
I just thought, like you said, when Pac took the step forward, that was very anti, like, we work together, not for. He seemed to kind of start barking demands at the Lucha Brothers there. And I think they're going to turn on him. I really do. I have a feeling that's going to happen. I mean, I will say I was pretty impressed that they were all able to make their travel accommodations happen this week. Good on them. That's
right.
that's all I have. But I'm feeling a turn's coming.
Yeah,
because I think it's Pac is ready for, if he's back and he's full time. I think he's ready to be that bastard lone wolf type dude that he was when he was beginning at AEW. I think get back to that, get him heated up into a world title picture. You know, that lower mid card, right, or that lower upper card, however you want to explain, main event scene with like the Pacs and the Andrade. Oh, it's just so good right now.
I agree.
Ooh.
And they have so many guys that can be up in that main event scene, but that they don't need to be up there yet too. So it's just like that's one of the things that AEW has been, you've mentioned it, that they've been good at, is they have their main eventers and they have their main stories, but they just got guys and girls locked and loaded, ready to go. So when things happen and people need to take time off or you need to go somewhere else, it's just like boom, boom, boom. You can just lift these guys and girls up, and it makes sense because of the way that they've been booking them. You know what I mean? To look strong, even though they're not in the main event scene. So it's one of the things that AEW has done really well since its inception 3 years ago. All right. We then got a 6-man tag, which was a fun match. This was a fun match. I personally could care less about the Hardy family office. No offense to any of the people in there. I just don't care personally. But regardless of that, this match I thought was a really fun 6-man tag. It was Orange Cassidy, Chucky T, and Wheeler Yuta versus Matt Hardy and Private Party. Cody, I will let you take this right from the jump, my man. What did you think of this 6-man tag between the Hardy family office and the Best Friends?
I have very mixed feelings about the Hardy family office right now. I really enjoyed everything Private Party did in this match. I've been a Hardy Boys fan forever, so Matt, I mean, this isn't his greatest story, but Matt can't really do wrong in my eyes right now, so maybe I'm a little biased in that. What I did have a problem with is it just feels overwhelming with how many people are in HFO right now. Like all of that action outside the ring, there was just so much going on and so many people on that side of the ring. I'm not sold on the Best Friends. Maybe it's because I haven't been watching from the beginning. I haven't been sold on Orange Cassidy yet, so I don't know.
Give it time, my friend. Give it time, my friend.
He hasn't got me there yet. The Best Friends haven't got me there yet. It just, I enjoy a lot of the faction stuff going on in AEW. Just HFO just seems overwhelming at this point. They're getting to like the elite level of just so many people and so much shenanigans outside the ring that there needs to have something happen there to break that down. You know, let Private Party and Matt do their thing. Let the Butcher and Matt do their thing. Let whatever they want to do, but break it up and break it down.
Yeah. Pluggo, what'd you think of? What'd you think of this match?
I thought there was a lot going on here. A lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I felt like there was so many moving parts, but the match itself, a good match, good components. Wheeler Yuta again looking like $1 million.
Yeah, he's another one like Garcia. I haven't seen a ton of except for what I've seen on here, and he's been looked to be made impressive as well. So
right, and you know, Orange Cassidy's still over with the crowd. Big Pop, Chucky T, like they were chanting for him.
Yeah,
he was over. It was a good vibe, good match. I just felt like all the stuff, like the Hardy family office has so many people that when they all went to raise their hands, Angelico it's just chilling because he can't get in there.
He can't get in the line. There's not enough room.
Yeah, and I just felt like they were trying to put too much into the segment, and other than, like I said, it is what it is. You know how I feel about the Hardy family office. I think they're missing the boat by doing this thing.
You almost needed just to kick the ref out there and let him get in. The whole HFO could stand with their arms up, and the ref's just standing awkwardly in the back.
Yeah, I was like, "What are y'all doing? This is cool. There's too much. There's too much going on, and not a lot of explanation. They're not. I don't see a lot of like vignettes and explaining. Like that might do it for me. Give me Matt Hardy's creative genius and doing some type of explanation as to what he's doing.
And it looks like, obviously there are a lot of people in the Hardy family office, but there's no rhyme or reason to, like, you got Private Party and then you have Butcher and the Blade, and then you have Angelico and Jack. And like these are all three different teams, like with three different styles of characters, and like it's just like a jumbled group. It's very odd. Like Matt Hardy's the centerpiece of it, obviously, but it's like, why would these people all be friends?
The only thing I've gotten out of it is that Matt's just paying them all to protect him. He's just throwing money out left, right, and center. Like, you guys are all in my office now.
Yeah,
you're
that's
on
how
my
they
payroll.
played it up at the beginning. Like, yeah, I'm rich. I'm just gonna pay y'all big money, Matt. But I don't know.
Sting gets Darby.
Yeah.
Brody Lee got the Dark Order. Matt, I guess you get Angelico.
Yeah, like you just get 3 tag teams who don't know what to do with. So here you go, man. Make the best of it.
Make the best
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 because the
that's
Butcher's
what I mean. Like,
still.
give me some vignettes, even if it's on Dark Dynamite YouTube. Give me something like where he's working with these guys outside of literally just paying them to protect him, because in theory you could pay anybody to protect you, and why did you pick these particular people? Like, give me some more backstory to get me invested a little bit further in it.
I'm just at this point, I was thinking about it during that match. I'm waiting now for the point where like there's some friction that develops between Angelico and Evans with Private Party, or maybe Butcher comes back and pulls the Blade away and has friction with one of the other teams, or all 3 of them go at each other and you have a 3-way tag team match.
Yeah, something. It just feels like a collection of people that wouldn't be hanging out with each other at all, and that's the vibe that I kind of get from it. All right, we then have Andrade. He's out back. He says that Pac is very ungrateful, and then Chavo says that Andrade has shown him nothing but respect. He's got him, limos and all these things. And Andrade says that Pac should be careful what he wishes for, and Chavo announces that at All Out, we're getting Andrade versus Pac, and all I have to say about that is yes, please. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, chef's kiss, as Pluggo does. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing bad to say. If it's leading to an Andrade and Pac match, cool. That's going to be one of the best matches on the show, period. So
we did gloss over that Pac was like, we don't know you, Andrade.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
You know Andrade. You guys have met before.
Yeah, you've met before in passing, I'm sure.
This is going to be, that's the reason everybody knows this is going to be awesome.
Oh, it's going to be so good. Yeah, I am super duper excited for that match.
So I'm going to throw this out there. Do we think that the Death Triangle turn on Pac during the match or after the match?
I say after. I don't think you mess with it.
I think you let them have that match, and you let whatever. Maybe just Andrade beats him, as I would assume that might happen. And then, yeah, you do it after the match. I wouldn't want it to ruin the outcome of the match, but I wouldn't mind it continuing the story afterwards, personally. Yeah. All right. We then get, oh my God, Santana and Ortiz. They are talking about FTR. Ortiz says that they are hungrier than ever. And if FTR have the cojones to step back in the ring with them, the outcome will be a lot different than the match last week. And they showed that gnarly injury on Cash again. Man, that is brutal. Oh my God.
That still frame of it with like the pull
skin.
out.
Oh,
yeah.
Oof. Goodness. Santana says, when they had the first sign of trouble, they bounced. And he said where they come from, you wrap that stuff up, you put your blood, you hold on to your blood, you stop the bleeding, you wrap that stuff up, and you keep on going. And Santana says that him and Ortiz are going to be coming for blood over and over and over again, and that if FTR shows up, they're going to take care of business. I want them to have this match, and I want them to get the time that they deserve, right? Because I think that match obviously was cut short for obvious reasons, and I was really looking forward to that match. This is going to be a great tag team match. Pluggo, I'll leave with you on this one. What did you think of the vignette here and the eventual, hopefully, like long-form tag team match between these 4 guys that I think we're all hoping that we get to see, at All Out, probably, hopefully.
This is an easy answer. It was good. They both, when they get into that mode, and they both, what's the word I'm looking for? It's believable. I believe that these two genuinely don't like each other, these two teams, and the way they're selling it as why they need it over the other team is like, yeah, I agree, and I can't wait to see it. I think Santana Ortiz are fantastic. FTR is awesome. You can't go wrong. This is what there's such a abundance of riches in this tag division that this isn't even for like the number one contendership. It's just two badass teams about to go head to head, and we're all invested, and there's really nothing at stake at the moment.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Sign me up.
This extended build between them right now, just the vignette last week talking about Cash's injury by the former Scott Dawson. I forget his new name, but
Dax Harwood, I believe.
I wanted to say Dax. I should have just went with it. But then like that build, that talk last week was big and hype and had me going. And now today with Santana and Ortiz coming back and giving that same level of energy, I don't know, how long it's going to take for that injury for Cash. As long as there was no nerve damage or tendon damage, I think he's fine and should be ready for All Out. But I'm ready for it. They've got me built over 2 weeks already.
Yeah, and I feel like as much as we were excited for the match when it was supposed to take place 2 or 3 weeks ago when that happened, I feel like this is kind of like, obviously it's not a blessing that somebody gets hurt like that, but I think it's like a blessing in disguise because you have the time now to see these vignettes week after week after week and just build and build and build and make that match something that we all want to see more and more because it was taken away from us by an unfortunate circumstance, right? So now you're taking advantage of that and you're just building and building. So now when we finally do get it, it's going to be, and it's like Pluggo said, it's not for the title either. This is just a straight up tag match between two teams who don't like each other. And everyone knows that they're two of the best tag teams in the world.
It gives it that more natural feel too, though, that you actually have something legit that happened that they can react to and build on. And it's just an actual natural progression that just makes the feud so much more believable.
Yep, I 100% agree. I think that's a great point by you. That I 100% agree there. All right, we had ourselves a women's match. It was Nyla Rose against Chris Statlander. This match was a little quick. This was a quicker match, but I went into it thinking Statlander was going to win. She's the one that they kind of need to rise up the ranks there. I think she's a future AEW Women's Champion. She got the win. But it was a relatively short match. I don't know if it was just timing with everything else that went down or whatnot, but the match left a lot to be desired in my opinion. But I was happy that Statlander got the win and she hit that area 451, which always looks great. And she picked up Nyla for a powerbomb that was very impressive too. You can see the strength that Statlander has. And Statlander looks, ever since she's come back, she's in fantastic shape. She's always had that strength and agility, and she's really been hitting on all cylinders too. I just wish they might have got a little more time than they actually did tonight. Cody, I'll let you lead here. What did you think of this match between Statlander and Nyla Rose?
Really, really good showing by both ladies, I thought. I feel like Nyla maybe didn't get in as much offense, but I still thought what she did get made her look strong. I'll never enjoy Vicky on the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Chris looked great.
Pluggo doesn't look happy though. Pluggo doesn't look happy.
I did make sure to take note though when Chris came out that with this win now puts her to 13-0 on the year, and that's the kind of numbers we got. Red Velvet competing at 22-4. If we got Statlander at 13-0 now, it's only a matter of time till we start seeing her in that lineup for the title. Whether it is against Red Velvet if she upsets Britt or if it's against DMD herself.
Yeah, and I think, they're doing the Rampage show with Red Velvet. Everyone is kind of leaning towards a Thunder Rosa rematch with Britt at All Out or something like that, which obviously, yes. I think Statlander is that next person. Once you kind of get past that rematch with Thunder Rosa, I think Statlander is that perfect person that can step right in. She's a fan favorite, even though Britt is too, but Britt still technically, I think, is playing the heel. She is a heel. Tonight she wasn't because she, home heroes welcome in hometown, which we'll talk about a little later, but she's the heel, and Statlander is that baby face that everyone loves. So I think that's just a perfect direction to go whenever they want to go there, basically. Pluggo, I saw your You looked upset when Cody slandered Vicky Guerrero. I apologize.
You know how I feel about Vicky Guerrero. If you watch the show on Thursday nights at 8:30 on Love Wrestling Between Two Beards, shameless plug, you know how I feel about my girl Vicky. I love Vicky. I do.
That's why I had to take the shot plug out.
I love her. I can't. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a good match. It's Nyla Rose. I like Nyla Rose. I like this return version of Chris Statlander much more than the one that they had before she got injured. I don't know what she's doing. She's not doing anything over the top different, but she dialed back some of the goofy alien stuff, ever since she's kind of paired up with the best friends. She's still doing it, and she fits in with this cast of characters much better than she was booping everybody all the time, and it was really out there. I love that she's kind of dialed it in. She's a little bit more serious. She's got a little bit more edge to her, and I think it's working. And like you said, I think she's going to move up those ranks. She's already the number 2 in the ranking, and I think a win here puts her in the driver's seat to have a match with Britt or Red Velvet, but it ain't going to be Red Velvet. Let's be honest. It's going to be my girl DMD. But of course. I think, like you said, you get out All Out. It would be a nice, perfect program after All Out to kind of reset and go through the fall with some Statlander, Britt Baker stuff. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Because I think Britt could have a lot of fun with it. Saying, look at this, she's an alien.
Look at this goof,
this the face paint,
hanging around with Orange Cassidy and these guys over here,
there's a face of the division.
Fun. Yeah, that'd be some fun. All right, we then got. Speaking of fun, I thought that this. It was quick, but I thought the Young Bucks segment in the back was fun. Was funny. I laughed my ass off, especially at the end. But you got the Young Bucks and Cutler. They're out in the back. They're holding a basketball. They got a basketball hoop behind them. They say last week the EVPs, the extremely violent people, struck again. And then Matt Jackson kind of was like, "Oh, bye, Hangman. So sad." And he goes, for the last year, they've dominated the tag team division, and they've shown that they're the best tag team in the world, and that they're the best tag team of all time. And Nick Jackson goes, yeah, and then next week when we face Jurassic Express, and we're going to win, it's going to be as easy as a layup. And he grabs the basketball, and he goes to lay it up into the hoop, and Luchasaurus comes out of nowhere and rejects that shit. They ain't doing that, Dikembe. No.
Not today.
Get out of here. And then Jungle Boy grabs it and dunks over Cutler. And they kind of run off. And then Nick Jackson just screams, "That's a foul! That's a foul! That's a foul!" And then you have Cutler going, no, man, that was all ball. Like, shut up, Cutler, that was a foul. They just that part of it popped me. I loved it. But I thought it was very funny. Anything to add from you two gentlemen?
Perfect. It's the best segment of the night.
Yeah, it was so good.
My first thought was, do they bring this basketball hoop with them all the time? Do they just get one? Yeah. What's their new obsession with basketball all of a sudden?
Obviously.
Right, but they have no ties or affiliation to Space Jam.
I mean, they had an entrance with the song and stuff.
And all I know is the Toronto Raptors are in desperate need of some help, and Luchasaurus is a perfect match. I mean, sign the man.
He swatted that.
Luchasaurus gives me Steven Adams vibes. If anybody's familiar with Steven Adams.
I know he is.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go. It was awesome. Give me more of that. I just want to watch the Bucks play basketball.
Cody, anything to add about the wonderful Young Bucks basketball segment?
I mean, I've said the last couple weeks I'm not a huge fan of the basketball thing, but this was fun. Luchasaurus was fun. Brandon Cutler has been annoying the hell out of me for the last couple weeks, and even I got a chuckle out of him saying, "No, man, that was all ball.
That was all ball. Shut up, Cutler. That's a foul." He just screamed.
Cutler, who signs your checks, bro?
Yeah, tremendous. I do remember, and it was a while ago, but I remember a vignette with them, and Cutler said something that they actually complimented that he said and stuff, and he's in the background putting his hands up yeah, they liked what I said, yeah. So I think regardless of what he does around the ring with the spray and all stuff like that, when he's given his moments in these vignettes, he does shine more times than he doesn't. And they're quick little one-liners like that, but it's almost perfect to what they're doing from here or there. Yeah, but I love this. I thought it was hilarious. I thought
if this was the WWE, they would have a basketball tournament instead of a title match.
Well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, they would have a King of the Ring style tournament, but it would just be 3-on-3 basketball. Yeah, that's exactly what they would do. Anyway,
Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy against the Jacksons.
I mean, if you got Luchasaurus on your team, it's a big guy, dude. He could dominate the post. He could dominate the post down there.
Oh yeah.
All right. We then get a little segment previewing the match on Rampage with Red Velvet. Red Velvet says that when she first got there, nobody knew who she was. So going in and fighting basically everyone and getting herself out there as much as she could was the only way that she could prove to everyone that she was the real deal. Also said that she's ready for this moment on Friday, and her goal is to get in there and win the AEW Women's Championship. And that kind of leads to Tony Schiavone in the ring, and we get the triumphant return of the hometown hero, Britt Baker, DMD. She comes out. She's wearing Pittsburgh colors, Pittsburgh Steelers covers. They have those stupid, terrible towels they're waving around. Idiots doing all that stuff like that. Pittsburgh morons. Anyway, they have all that ugliness that they're waving around. I love Britt Baker, so I'll let it slide, but Pittsburgh.
I think her gear actually said
fun, right?
Her gear said Britsburg on the back, though. Right?
Oh, did it? That's even. I didn't notice it. That's
she had one of these on there.
Disgusting. They're not as bad as the Steelers, but disgusting as well. Oh man. But it was a hometown hero. They had the pyro. She was wearing the Steelers colors. Mom and dad were in the audience. It was a hometown hero's welcome. She starts talking about Red Velvet. She talks about the video we just saw. She goes, she really can't relate or talk about Velvet's rise because Britt's been the top of the division since the day she showed up. And she's been the face of AEW. And she says she's also been the baddest bitch on the block as well. That was another thing by her. She said it's been a tough year for everybody, and she wasn't afraid to step up when AEW needed a leader, and she wasn't afraid to step up and be a champion for the city of Pittsburgh when they needed a champion. Ugh. So says this Friday, I'm sorry, I'll get over it never. Says this Friday it will be and still AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. We then see Red Velvet runs down and attacks Britt Baker, and they get separated, and that's how that segment ends. Britt Baker's over anywhere. She's a top face of the company. Pittsburgh, obviously being her hometown, like this week they've built around her. She's the main event of Rampage. She had the hometown, the welcome tonight. Like they have built this Pittsburgh week around Britt Baker as they should. I thought this was really good. I'm looking forward to the match. Red Velvet's good. And I'm looking forward to that match on Friday. I think like everyone else, I'm expecting a Britt Baker victory. But nonetheless, I do think it will be a really, really good match. Pluggo, I'll let you lead. What did you think of the hometown return of Britt Baker this evening?
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was well done on AEW's part to just kind of turn into the skid, right? They could have easily had her come out and cut classic heel promos, but she's getting cheered, right? So if she goes out there and starts shitting on the city of Pittsburgh, they're not going to boo her. So might as well just let her have the moment. Mm-hmm. Let her, and even the promo she delivered was heel vibes. I'm the champion that Pittsburgh needs right now, but they weren't going to boo her. And I think the match on Friday is going to be awesome because I think, like you said, Red Velvet is really good. I think they found themselves a diamond in the rough, so to speak, that she could be in that next level of like you just place her in a title match and it's believable. So like you can't go wrong with Britt Baker. Any way you slice it, in my opinion. The terrible towels, I kind of they were Britsburg terrible towels. Jay, they weren't Pittsburgh.
Okay.
As I said on Twitter, she's the greatest champion Pittsburgh's ever seen.
I'm not going to deny that. Somebody
countered with Kurt Angle.
I believe, and I don't know if Spencer's in the chat. I don't think he is, but I believe Bret Hart once said,
"Oh yes, that was my first thought."
Bret Hart once said, if they were going to give the United States of America an enema, they'd plug the holes in Pittsburgh, and he has never been more right.
I don't know why
I never been more right
during that segment. I'm glad I should have texted you because that's what I was
never
thinking.
Been more right. Anyway, Cody, what did you think of Britt Baker tonight?
I liked what Britt Baker did. I liked the homecoming. I liked her promo. I recognized that she was kind of playing that heel vibe there, playing up the, I'm the best champion in Pittsburgh kind of thing. A lot better than Don Callis did with the Elite earlier in the night. But the Pittsburgh gear, the black and yellow, I mean, you call it Steelers. It could be Penguins too. Just Pittsburgh loves their black and yellow, apparently. I absolutely go and get myself a towel if it was anything other than Pittsburgh yellow. You give me a terrible towel with DMD on it and any other color, I'd be there for it. But
yeah.
The promo beforehand too, just want to touch last week I kind of called out Red Velvet on I didn't really care for her saying or calling herself enhancement talent. I really appreciated this week that video she had where she, without referencing the actual words again, kind of played out that she had to come in and she had to work a match against anyone at any time and work herself up and make a name for herself, and kind of gave a little bit more background to the idea of an enhancement talent as opposed to breaking that kayfabe wall like I felt it was last week. So without even really mentioning or talking specifically about it, I just felt like it really kind of answered the question of that from last week. And just the post-match fight and whatnot, just, looking forward to Friday.
Yeah, 100%. And I do agree. They made Red Velvet, even in that small little vignette, they made her look like a formidable opponent to Britt, which is at the end of the day what you want, right? We then get a quick little Ricky Starks is back there. He says that him and Brian Cage keep missing each other, and he says next week he'll be right in the middle of the ring in the spotlight, and if Brian Cage wants to meet up, he'll meet up. It was short and sweet. Yeah. All right, Brian Cage has left Team Taz. I'm ready for. We can have him have the blow off at Ricky Starks, maybe at All Out, I guess, and then we can move on to other things. I think Ricky Starks is a superstar. I think he's one of the future guys of the company. So I would like to see what he kind of does moving forward once we kind of get past the Brian Cage stuff that's been going on. That does lead into a tag team match for the Impact Tag titles between the Dark Order, which were Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, against the Good Brothers. Scott D'Amore was from Impact was on commentary during this one, so it was good to see him. I love Stu Grayson. I think Stu Grayson is a tremendously talented wrestler. Every time he's in the ring, he's just a super, super good in that ring. I thought this was a good match. The way it ended, with the Elite kind of pulling their shenanigans and doing what the Elite does. So they get the victory. They get to keep their titles, with the Good Brothers winning and such. It fits what the Elite does, right? They're on the verge of losing. They cheat and they end up winning. Cody, I'll lead with you. What did you think of this tag match between the Dark Order and Good Brothers?
It was good for what it was. It wasn't the best of the night. It was just kind of there. It kind of filled the space. Uno and Grayson lost their shot at the Bucks, so they get their shot at the Good Brothers, and now they lose that due to the shenanigans that we all expect to see. But it's hard to take matches like this seriously when there are pre-builds going on elsewhere for it. And the real build for the Good Brothers right now seems to be that story with Mox going into Resurgence. So it was nice to see the Dark Order get out there, get their match in, get their moves in, stay in the spotlight. That, I was starting to wonder if we were going to see anything else than that. And ultimately we didn't really with the Dark Order and Page coming out. So nice to at least have a sight line of them. But I think this is all just kind of a holding pattern right now until we get back to where they wanted to go.
I would agree. Pluggo, anything to add about this Impact tag match here?
No, good match. Stu Grayson, you said rules.
Yeah, he does.
Can't argue there. Yeah. They put him in the 9:30 slot, which was nice to see that they could have easily flipped that with the women. So it was nice to see a different 5 at 9:30 than what we're used to on AEWs. I will say that. But other than Impact titles, we knew they're not changing hands. It was a good match. It is what it is. It got us to where we needed to go, which is what we're probably going to talk about now. So.
Yeah. Well, before we do, we had a vignette from one Camille from NWA.
Yeah.
You watch Pluggo, you watch NWA. I do not watch NWA. I know who Camille is, obviously, but I'm not an avid NWA viewer, so I don't know much about her just from the fact that I know she's the NWA Women's Champion. But she was saying that her style is hard hitting and she doesn't give an F. I'm not gonna swear. She doesn't give an F. She says that the forbidden door has been opened and she's not scared. And she puts over Layla Hirsch a little bit, says that she knows she's tough and she's a hard fighter and she puts everything into it. But she says at Empower, the whole world is going to watch her beat Layla Hirsch. Pluggo, you're the NWA guy. You talk about NWA. You filled in for Zach. You've been on Power Out with Zach.
Yeah, a couple times.
Talk to me about Camille. Let me know what I'm in store for. I am going to get Empower because that card looks like it's lining up to be damn good too. So I am going to check out Empower. Tell me what I should be knowing about Camille heading into this match with Layla Hirsch.
I guess how I would describe Camille, if I was trying to make the best comparison possible, would be like in NWA, she's almost Chyna. Right? She's tall, she's muscular, she stands over most of the women in that division in NWA. And obviously the Layla Hirsch move, she definitely towers over Layla Hirsch. So I think they built this match in a way to even make her look bigger. She's somebody that I would like to see have a mouthpiece because she's not the greatest talker. So like even the promo today, even in a recorded vignette style, fell a little flat for me. I think they could have done a little more with her. And if she had somebody that could really like talk her up, because she's imposing, she looks great. Mm-hmm. She's good in the ring. She's had some, check out the stuff she's done with Thunder Rosa if you're not an NWA fan, but those matches were really well done. And Layla Hirsch is Layla Hirsch, and I think she definitely is not going to be the NWA Women's Champion. Yeah. But I think what they're doing with the NWA Women's Champion in this sense is they are putting it on stage at spot, in Power, and I think that they're going to have Camille win it in Power, and who on the roster can take an L in AEW and it not be a big deal. It's probably Layla Hirsch, but yeah, Camille's awesome. Camille's great. I think you could see big things with her if she had a really good manager with her. You could build her into a force. She looks bigger than a lot of the women in AEW right now. Mm-hmm. So
I think she would arguably be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in AEW.
You stand her next to Statlander and her, that would be something I would want to see. Give me that all the time.
Yeah. Cody, do you watch NWA? Do you know much about Camille?
Haven't been, unfortunately. This is kind of my first experience with it, but between this and the stuff happening over in Impact, really promoting Empower, I'm absolutely going to have to find a way to watch it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You guys just need to start watching NWA. Like we do.
Well, I would. I didn't even have the show just wasn't on this week, so who knows, right?
So even
the people that watch it were like, "What the hell?"
They shoot themselves in the foot quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
If you can get past some of the crazy stuff that they're doing, there is some real good talent they have in there for sure, and I think you're going to see some stuff. Like I love the Pope. All right, this is an NWA power. Don't get me on my rants. Let's go.
All right. We then have Tony Schiavone in the ring with the Nightmare Family, QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. Schiavone asks him, hey, for weeks you've been saying you're going to apologize. Like, are we finally going to hear it? Like, what's going on? QT says that Tony should be apologizing to him, but he knows that will never happen. So he is going to apologize to Tony, but not for what he's done. He's going to apologize for what he's about to do to Tony Schiavone's kid, who on commentary earlier in the night, Tony specifically mentioned that he brought his kid there for the Rampage debut. And Nick Camarado, who's on the outside, just goes into the crowd and grabs Schiavone's kid, throws him in the ring. They give him a good couple punches in the gut. They hold him behind, and then QT hits a cutter on him as they're holding Tony Schiavone back. He's trying to kick him as being held back. He calls him a son of a bitch. Tony's pissed. And then all of a sudden, we see Paul White, the Big Show. Paul White, he comes in the ring. This is the first physicalness I think he's shown on AEW television. He gets into the ring, and as he gets there, Aaron Solo kind of goes after him, and he gives him a choke slam. But he was holding him there for a little bit, just staring a hole right through QT Marshall as he does it. And that was that. So I'm assuming at some point we're going to get a QT Marshall Paul White match. Okay. All right. Cody, I'll let you. I mean, I feel bad because I don't like. I like the Big Show. I like Paul White. Like he's been on my television screen for 20 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that, but like, it's just like, why do I care? Why
it's
do I
gotta be
care?
close to 30 years now, doesn't
yeah,
it?
30. Yeah, what are we? 2000? Yeah, 21. Like, yeah, like close to 25, 30 years here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like I'm not really invested in QT Marshall either. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not invested in QT Marshall, and like Paul White, like it's cool that he's there. I like him on commentary when I watch Elevation and stuff like that, but it's like I don't need to see him wrestling. And if he's gonna wrestle, I don't care that he's fighting QT Marshall. You want to put him in there with Shaq, or you want to put him in there with like a higher
Layla Hirsch,
yeah, like or a higher caliber opponent. No offense to QT Marshall, but like
Give him Sammy Guevara.
Yeah. Like I'm just, I wasn't feeling it that much. Cody, I'll let you go. How'd you feel about this? What do you think about a potential Paul White QT Marshall match?
I don't think it's going to blow anybody away by any means. I mean, if it's a means to an end somewhere else, sure. I don't know much about Shivani's kid. Maybe he's planning on getting into a ring and becoming all elite somewhere here. Maybe you're going somewhere else with this. Maybe you have Paul White make a heel turn. Who knows? But ultimately, I don't really have much for thoughts as far as a feeling on it as of this point. It's more of a wait and see where this goes for me.
Yeah. Pluggo, what say you, my friend?
I thought he was going to heel turn from the beginning.
I mean, you have to assume.
I was like, he's going to punch Tony Schiavone's kid in the face.
He's going to punch Tony Schiavone.
Yeah. Because that's just, unfortunately, I know he has the No More BS moniker, but that's what we know and love about you, show, is that you don't. But it was what it was. They beat up Tony Schiavone's kid. More big props to Tony Schiavone for being able to power through that and call the next match. I mean, hey, he's a pro's pro.
It really is.
Again, QT Marshall threw up like the diamond cutter sign. So I don't know if that was like a, maybe DDP will show up and get involved since he's messing with Schiavone. I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. As much as I didn't like this at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, I have no interest. I have no interest in it.
It's I don't know if it's QT. Like I like Camarado and I like Aaron Solo. I want to see what those guys can do, but it's kind of like we talked about with the Matt Hardy thing. Is QT the guy to drive this vehicle for them?
Yeah.
And messing with Schiavone, like, bro, like, why aren't you messing with some wrestlers? Like, why are you picking on?
Like, what the hell did Tony Schiavone?
Everybody loves Schiavone. If that's,
right? What the hell's that about? Got his own innocent kid. You just taking him out of the stands and beating him. What the hell is this? What the hell Tony do?
It's just
doing his job.
It's just And I get that there's ways to get heat, and that's what they're doing. Beloved Schiavone get heat for QT. But it's just it's not working for me. I don't think QT's that great of a heel. I thought he was better as the baby face.
Friend of Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, friend of Cody. Tag along of Cody.
Yeah, tag along, man. They made him look at when the whole thing first happened with Cody. That was a good heel turn, and it was like, okay, this is something different. This is cool. And then Cody just beat him.
Yeah.
He beat them all, and it was like, okay, so they don't matter. Cool. All right. And then it's like, why am I invested when you did this angle and then you showed me that, that didn't matter because they're just going to get beat by everybody, and now you want me to invest? I don't know.
This is the thank you for helping us through the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Training all these people, letting us use your facilities. unlike other companies that are like, thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you for everything. You're fine.
Peace. Yeah. Which I'm not saying fire QT. I just don't think this role works for him. I think there's other things you could do with him that make sense because it's just not believable. It's just like when he was getting, tricked with the bunny and doing the bunny stuff, and everybody's like, she's gonna turn on you. Yeah. We all felt for QT, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's a sympathetic baby face more than this dastardly heel that's picking on Shivani.
Was it JR that called that diamond cutter a stunner though, or was that Excalibur?
Yeah. Did he call it? Yes, I believe he did say a stunner.
Listen, at this point, JR is JR. I can't. I'm not going to sit on my little soapbox and argue.
Well, I will have you say, because the next thing we discuss is the main event, and I actually have in my notes something that I liked that JR did in the main event. So we'll dive into it right now. Obviously, it was the fourth labor of Jericho, and it was him versus Wardlow with MJF at ringside. I actually thought this was a really entertaining main event and really entertaining match. Wardlow's a stud. Wardlow is a stud. Ridiculous power. He's fast. He's agile. He can do moonsaults, and he didn't tonight, but he can do moonsaults and flips and things like that. The times he's been given the mic to talk when the Pinnacle was kind of more formed together, he's going to be, and he's young, he's going to be one of the future stars of the company for sure. The thing that I did like was at one point Jericho hit a code breaker on Wardlow, and Wardlow kicked out at 1. And when he kicked out at 1, they were all like, oh my God, he kicked out at 1. And JR said, yeah, Jericho beat a dead man before with that move.
Yeah.
And I was like, way to go, JR. Way to go. Because, everybody, regardless of what you watch, The Undertaker. And The Undertaker is The Undertaker. And if you see Wardlow kick out of the code breaker at 1, and then the guy on commentary goes, hey, I can't say his name, but like he beat The Undertaker with that move before. That's okay, cool. All right. That's a good callback.
That's what AEW does best. They don't make us feel stupid. Like Daniel Garcia, they brought up all the matches that he wrestled in all these other independents. He was on NXT and he wrestled, and they didn't mention it once.
Yeah.
They were like, this guy you've never heard of. And then so that's awesome. Like that was a good JR move. I'll give
That's
him
what I'm saying. I heard that. I was like, way to go, JR. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
While we're on the JR topic, I'm just going to throw out here. I love me some JR. I love me some Shivani. Yeah. The big thing that I have kind of a grief with AEW right now, though, is that they are riding this train of two big 90s personalities. And I would really like to see them, other than Excalibur, really start developing their own guys.
Yeah. I do. I don't know who does the main commentary for Dark. I watch Elevation more.
Taz and Excalibur.
Taz and Excalibur, yeah. So Excalibur seems to be the guy that's going to be the main guy as they move forward here, and they have the nostalgia guys that we all know from the 90s and early 2000s kind of are surrounding him, right? But yeah,
really kind of guiding him into the future, giving him their knowledge, breaking their wisdom off on him.
Yeah, 100%. We did see as this match went on, Wardlow was definitely using his power advantage, especially outside the ring. He was throwing Jericho all over the place, barricade, the post, throwing him against the ropes, all sorts of stuff. MJF doing very much MJF things and getting involved on the outside whenever the ref had her back turned. And at one point, Wardlow hit like back-to-back powerbombs, specifically one of them where Jericho tried to do a Hurricanrana and he just deadlifted him back up. And Jericho's not a small dude. Jericho, he's not a small dude. Yeah, I can't talk. I mean, I'm gigantic, but he's a small
two Jerichos now.
Yeah, exactly. So, very impressive by Wardlow. And then as the match goes on later on, the referee actually catches MJF trying to slide the diamond ring there into Wardlow, and MJF gets thrown out of the match. And when that happens, the ref is, Aubrey is, pointing, get out of here. Her back is turned. Jericho then grabs his trusty old friend, that baseball bat, and he hits Wardlow over the face with it, followed by a Judas effect, followed by a victory by Chris Jericho. He has done it. He went through all 4 labors, which gives him next week that labor, which we'll get into in a little bit. I want your guys' opinion of the match first. Against MJF. Pluggo, I'll start with you. What did you think of this fourth labor with Wardlow?
I was surprised that we're already up to 4. Like, it's kind of gone pretty fast, right?
Yeah,
like, considering like it feels like they just started this last week, but Wardlow's awesome. Wardlow is so good for a big man. I'd like to see him kind of what he could do on his own type deal. Like, he, MJF is always there, and sometimes it helps him. MJF's the guy that cost him. I know he was saying Wardlow, like, get this done. Yeah. But MJF kind of screwed the pooch on this one. And
and like since the beginning when MJF has had Wardlow, they've teased a few times where like MJF gets angry at him and almost crosses the line. And you can see Wardlow's face where he's like, bro, I'll kill you. Like, I can kill you.
Yeah.
Like, don't mess with me. Like, I get it. I'm here for you, but like you tested my patience and I will kill you, So that's definitely something down the line, 100%. When Wardlow does that babyface turn, like that's going to be a star-making moment for him whenever they decide to do it. You know what I mean?
It was, definitely. It was a super solid match. We all knew the ending. We knew, Jericho's getting to that fifth labor. I'm intrigued as to this story has me perplexed in the sense that in storyline sense, this is where Jericho gets his, right?
That's what you would think.
But I think this is the perfect opportunity to have MJF be the guy that Jericho just can't figure out. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I want to see MJF, because if you pull off 4 straight weeks of just crazy labors where Jericho's exhausting himself and doing all death matches with Nick Gage, he should come into this not 100%. And I think this would be a really fun. MJF is just the guy that Jericho can't figure out, and I would love to see that.
We'll slide it down to Cody to get his opinions on this match, and then we'll kind of talk about the stipulations and everything that MJF said that will be going into that match. I believe it's next week. Did they say it was next week? Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I thought that maybe the fifth one would be held till All Out, but I guess, we're going to – I'm not against it getting it next week. We're just going 5 right in a row. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. But, all right, cool. Cody, what did you think of the match between Jericho and Wardlow?
It felt like a beatdown, honestly. It felt like a good, solid 3/4 of that match at least. I felt like Jericho was just getting slammed around and beaten down, and Wardlow just throwing him from turnbuckle post or whatever the saying goes. But it was enjoyable for a beatdown, and for you knew Jericho was going to come around and pull it off in the end, but it was enjoyable for the most part, just seeing and waiting for that turn to come and watching it just get beat and MJF on the outside. There was definitely some confusion from last week, though. I know when we talked about it on Reacts last week, we weren't sure if he had talked about if MJF had talked about himself being special referee. I had actually interpreted that I thought he was meaning more as a special enforcer, but no, he was just out there at ringside. So, I probably would have appreciated it more if he had MJF as the enforcer, complaining and telling Aubrey how she's doing a terrible job throughout the match.
That would have been good. That would have been fun. That would have been a fun dynamic there for sure. I would have liked that.
I think I kind of like where Pluggo's going with this, that it's something you wouldn't expect, something you don't see in wrestling. This kind of story you tell for somebody to finally get that redemption angle. You work through all of this struggle and hardship to get back at the guy you've never beat, and you just fully expect that it's going to be that time you beat him. That I think it's a really unique way to do it, and something that wrestling fans don't necessarily expect to see him get shut down again and go 0-3 against MJF there. And I'd like to see it. I'd enjoy it.
Yeah. What benefit do we have if Jericho wins, right? That's my only.
Yeah, no, and when you look at it from just that way, there is no benefit. Like Jericho, it doesn't affect Jericho, right? And you can argue that MJF has been presented since the company started that like he's only lost one match in this whole AEW career. Like that was the match to Moxley, and I still argue that he should have won that title against Moxley. But either way, he's been presented as like I agree with Pluggo, and I agree, I know you're agreeing with Pluggo too. Like, I think that's the way to do it. I know, very rare that I agree with Pluggo. Damn it,
Whoa.
falling apart over here.
It's just so hard to see them actually going that route. They've set this all up that it looks like MJF should win, right? All of these guys have focused on Jericho's one arm. You saw it today after the match where MJF had him crank back, pulled the arm brace off, and exposes it and keeps cranking on that injured arm. Now he's got no music. He can't have the crowd behind him. He's got no finishing move. He's going to have to fall back on the walls or the code breaker or something else. You're setting this all up that like, oh, how can Jericho possibly win now? He doesn't have any of his best arsenal. And, it would be unique to see MJF pull it off. I don't see how you really go through and have the heel really follow through when you've set this up for like a huge babyface win for Jericho.
Yeah, how dumb does MJF have to be to take the L? After being able to have any stipulation he wants.
And I think that's fair though. Like when you talk about like, hey, I would love MJF to just beat him again, and then maybe Jericho, I know he's going on tour and maybe he's just gone for a bit, so he does lose, It would make MJF look like a friggin' idiot. And I think MJF, the character, he's a big asshole, but one thing that he is he's been smart. He's outsmarted everyone. And he's just good he backs it up. He's good in the ring. Like, I think it would make him literally look like a moron if he did all four of these things. Like you said, death matches with Nick Gage, and Sean Spears can use a chair throughout the whole match. All these things that he's done, and that Jericho's just barely won all of them. And then you lose after he's gotten the shit kicked out of him for a month straight. Ooh, I mean, it is the big moment that they're building, like, oh, the big baby face, oh, the comeuppance. Like, I get that, but at the same time, like, I think it does way more for MJF to just beat him again than it does for Jericho to get the win,
It's kind of in the same vein for me, is like when we were talking CM Punk, he's not the type of guy that you just surprise return because he's so... MJF is the type of heel, and the way he's been presented, that it actually builds a little bit more to his smarmy heelness that he pulls this off, right? Imagine the booze it gets, the heat it gets if he pulls off a win against Chris Jericho, knowing that everybody's going, Chris Jericho's going to get this win, and that's going to be an awesome pop for the crowd. But we take that away from them with MJF because he's on that next level, on a heel pedestal that a lot of people aren't.
Yeah, I agree.
And then again, that's why I'm here. I don't book the show. If it either way, I'll be happy. Like if MJF loses, then yeah, that sucks. But it's Chris Jericho getting a win. That'll be a lot of fun too. Yeah, it's gonna be a good story.
How furious will MJF be going forward though if he takes that L after all of this? That could just unleash a different version of MJF where maybe he stops losing that smart edge and just becomes violent and takes it out on Wardlow or takes it out on whoever.
He ain't messing up them suits, bro.
Man,
just the breaking point of MJF where he just loses his mind.
Yeah. I mean, that is a good way to go about it too. I actually, I don't like to give Pluggo credit. I do give Pluggo credit a lot, but I don't like to. But I think he might be onto something here because I do think MJF is going to win. That's kind of where I'm leaning.
Who knows? Tune in next week and
we'll find
exactly
out. Right? They make you want to watch, right? But like Cody did say,
we're sitting here and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, no. But as Cody did say, they did announce that MJF stipulation for next week will be no Judas effect and no Judas music, which I'm very intrigued. I think the crowd is going to sing the music even without the music. I think an AEW crowd will step up, and I think they're going to do it. And I think
that's why they added that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if they do it and it comes off well, I think that's going to be quite a moment to see the crowd just singing the whole song with no music like that. That'll be cool if they kind of can pull that off. But yeah, and that was AEW Dynamite. I thought a really good show, really entertaining. 2 hours flew by. Any closing remarks from either of you before we start doing our plugs and stuff like that about the show in general, or anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't hit or anything like that?
No Dan Lambert.
That is true. Did they promoted him, didn't they?
No, Tony Khan this earlier today said next week.
Yeah.
Okay, on Busted Open.
Yeah, he was on Busted Open. I didn't listen to the full interview. I was at my shoot job, brother.
No, the real gimmick.
The real gimmick. But basically I saw a tweet that said Tony Khan made sense of it in a way and said next week we'll handle business.
I looked it up at the end, like within the last half hour of the show. I was like, wait, we didn't see Dan Lambert and his surprise reveal this week.
Yeah.
And what I found, apparently that announcement where they pushed it back to next week, they also said he's coming with 2 former UFC champions.
Oh.
Ronda Rousey.
Well, he was with, when he showed up, who was he with? He was with Nunes and Masvidal, right?
Yeah.
So hey, let's see. Let's see. All right, yeah. So now, as we get out of here, we do our plugs, and we do all, not plug-o, but we do all our plugs and stuff like that.
I mean,
hey,
I'm married, bro.
We've already talked about, yeah, I know. It's fine. All right. So, Cody, anything else coming down? I know you'll be joining us for the War Report every Wednesday for AEW for a bit here. Anything else down the line we should be looking at? You got anything working? Anything?
Oh my gosh. I got a couple ideas on things that I might start up something on my own. I enjoy coming on with you guys here and talking AEW every Wednesday night. So I'll be here whenever I'm available and the shoot job doesn't tie me up. But this weekend, we'll see. Maybe I'll show up on Reacts. Maybe I'll be there on the Sunday brunch. And just keep an eye out. Everything. Love wrestling. You never know where you'll find me.
All right. That sounds good. Pluggo. You got something coming? Were you busy tomorrow?
Nah.
We busy tomorrow?
No, dude. I'm watching the Friends reunion on HBO Max. Dude.
Fantastic! I've already watched it.
I already have. I got this little show called Between Two Beards. Tomorrow night, 8:30 with you, JPJ.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Earlier this week, if you guys didn't catch it, JPJ and I were on the Waffle Box podcast.
Yeah, with our buddy Mike.
Yeah, with our buddy Mike, talking about wrestling and whatnot and the origins of the name Pluggo.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of stuff lined up. I'm kind of just doing that show and then, see what happens. You never know. We got a lot of things in the works.
Well, and I think that's the good thing about Love Wrestling, right? Is we have a lot of shows, we have a lot of things, and it's a very open, hey, if you're available, yeah, man, hop the hell on. Let's talk about some wrestling. And that's what, and the community that we've built here, even with our newer contributors like Cody and Astrid, and they all just got here and they're all already contributing and doing good things, right? And I think that's what we're doing here. We're just building a community of really talented people that are positive
and we've got stuff in the works too.
Oh yeah, we can't say anything. Stop! Don't do that. Don't tease the people. Don't tease the people.
It's how you get viewers.
But anyway,
make sure to check out the lovewrestling.ca shop and get some of our fancy merch though.
Yeah. Oh,
there you
get that mug right there. We have fanny packs. I'm going to SummerSlam next week. I'm wearing a fanny pack all damn weekend.
Bro.
Damn weekend. You're gonna see a fanny pack around my fat belly. It's happening. 100%.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
All right. Well, I will be with Spencer, so I will tell him pics or it didn't happen. But I believe we're both wearing fanny packs around.
Wonderful.
It's gonna be walking up and down the strip of Vegas just with our Love Wrestling fanny packs.
Oh yeah.
But like Pluggo did say, tomorrow night, right on this very channel, 8:30 p.m., another episode of Between Two Beards. We have the Saturday React show that'll be happening Saturday afternoon. We have the Sunday brunch. Well, we have Blowing Off Stream as well Saturday night, where we get on there and kind of mess around and play some video games. And then we have the Sunday brunch, the flagship show, every Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we almost got stuff happening every day. Go to Love Wrestling CA. Go to the shop. Buy the mug. How can you not buy the fanny pack? Give me a break. Go to the website. Spencer has a million interviews that he's just so good at interviewing. He's got good articles. We got a ton of stuff we're doing. I want to thank RK Athletics, our sponsor. Go check them out on all their social medias if you are looking for personal training. Yes, Cody is pointing to it right now. Follow the point. Point at the sign. Point at the sign.
Right there.
Yeah. So give them a shout out. They've been with us since the very beginning, so we are very thankful for them. I am thankful for these two gentlemen that joined me tonight. It's always easier when you're talking to good people and talented people and talking about good wrestling shows, and that's what we do at the War Report with NXT and AEW. Pluggo, I'll see you very soon, my friend, as in tomorrow. Cody, we'll see you at the very least next week. No, wait, are you doing the shoot job next week?
No, I'm not. I'm free.
I
am free next week. I'm free for a couple weeks at least on Wednesday nights.
Rock and roll.
Stuck on my overnight shoot job, but
it's all right. It happens.
I will be here for sure. And tomorrow night, you never know. I might pop in that chat just to throw some more questions at you guys.
We hope. Let's do it. We, as you can tell, between two beards, we want the questions. We want to chat with everybody.
We got those two beards and we got this beard.
There we go. Fit right in, brother. It's like match made in heaven.
Now if we could get Spencer to, grow a beard.
I'm going to try to talk him into it.
Give us a little bit of a budget.
Try to let's go.
Support the team, Spencer.
All right. For Cody, for Pluggo, I am JPJ. Thanks for watching the War Report. We appreciate all you guys. And until next time, peace out.